Hey folks, you know what? I'm a Trump supporter. I voted for Trump 3 times. I love Trump. I think he's doing a great job. I like this Department of Efficiency. He's cutting our taxes. I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. I'm a liberal conservative, a true liberal like a Milton Friedman, Ayn Rand type liberal, not these false liberals on the left, these socialists, these communists who believe in extreme, excessive government, who call themselves liberals when there's nothing liberal about them. I'm a person I like to consider on the right, okay? And I'm not a Nazi or something like that. By the way, the Nazis were on the left, okay? They believed in big government. They were National Socialists, by the way. But I'm getting off subject. The point is, I like Trump. I like everything he's doing, but I got to talk about the JFK files. And I get what Trump's doing. He's opening up. Hey, we're going to release the JFK files. Here they are. Everybody can look at them and go ahead and release them. Fine, release them already. Why do you need a big? I get what Trump's doing. He's being open, and he's got good motives. But I'm watching this news conference with this Congressman Luna. And she seems like a nice lady. She's obviously, I'm thinking, a Republican congressman. And I'm watching her press conference, and she's like, we're not going to push an agenda or conspiracy. We're going to be fair. We're just going to release the files. But then she says, but we know of a second shooter. Well, lady, right then and there, you're pushing a conspiracy theory. You're pushing the fact that there was some second shooter. And how do I know that you're already pushing agenda? Because there is no evidence of a second shooter. There has never been evidence of a second shooter. And if something doesn't happen, guess what? It produces no evidence. Zero. That's what you call having to prove a negative. Okay? There is no evidence of a second shooter. Releasing all these files, I hate to break it to you folks, it's only going to further prove or not prove anything. It's only going to further prove that Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK and Officer Tippit all by himself. And, I wish people on the right would stop believing in these leftist conspiracy theories. And yes, they're from the left, okay? I watch Pat with Valuetainment. I love his podcast. Joe Rogan, another great podcast. But I'm so disheartened when I see them being duped by these leftist false conspiracies that somehow some grand conspiracy was involved in the killing of JFK, that somehow the mafia did it, or the CIA, or LBJ did it because he wanted to become president. Folks, I hate to break it to you, none of that's true, and all the evidence proves that Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. And without getting into all the evidence, because there's books of evidence. I mean, there's more evidence that proves Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK all by himself than we probably have that proves O.J. Simpson killed Ron and Nicole Simpson, okay? We have plenty of evidence. And so without getting into the evidence, because you can research that on your own, there's plenty of documentaries that prove without a shadow of doubt that Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. I just wish that people on the right, the podcasts, the congresswoman would stop being duped by these leftist conspiracies. And this is, look, the history of these leftist conspiracies, they all started, you could trace it back to Mark Lane. He wrote the first conspiracy book, Rush to Judgment, 1966. He made a ton of money, okay? His goal was to be Lee Harvey Oswald's defense attorney, okay? And this guy is a leftist. He made a profession off defending communists in court. He was the communist attorney. He represented Jane Fonda in her case on treason. He represented Jim Jones in the People's Temple. In fact, him and another communist attorney were present in Guyana on the day they're committing the mass murder, on the day they're drinking the Kool-Aid. And he wrote the first conspiracy book. And here are all these people on the right, people that are logical thinkers like myself, who should be looking at facts, evidence, logic. Don't use emotion. We on the right, we use logic, not emotion, to make a rightful decision. All these people on the right, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. Just like the Jim Jones Guyana Temple. Other leftists, Oliver Stone, left-wing nut, Hollywood actor or director, film director, loves Fidel Castro. Does the documentary on Fidel Castro about how great Fidel Castro and socialism in Cuba are. Yeah, it really turned out great for Cuba, most wealthy island, and it's a shithole ghetto now. I mean, look, that's a perfect example of what happens with socialism and communism. But I'm getting off subject. This Oliver Stone. People go watch his movie and say, "Oh, dude, that's a good movie, though. It's got cameo with John Candy, Keith Sullivan." It's garbage. It presents nothing but garbage. And a lot of the so-called facts, or he had only this much time to shoot the 3 shot. It's all false. It's and again another leftist filmmaker making money off pushing conspiracy. I live in Louisiana. The movie was about who? Jim Garrison, a corrupt district attorney in New Orleans, corrupt politician in the late 60s. He was a Democrat, a person on the left. He pushed this conspiracy that somehow Clay Shaw had something to do. None of the evidence showed that, okay? These leftist university professors, they like to push their books. Cecil Weck, Dr. Cecil Weck. He's not a doctor, he's an idiot. Robert Grodin, he was another leftist filmmaker, did that, all the Who Killed Kennedy, whatever, documentary in the late 70s. I call it docudrama because it was totally full of fiction. These people, they're leftists. They push these leftist conspiracy theories. I think, one, to make a lot of money. They make a lot of money off duping the public, selling these books, movies, conspiracy theories. And two, but I think their prime or original motive is to somehow defend the fact that a communist, Lee Harvey Oswald, killed JFK. Okay, and that's the facts. All the facts prove it. Okay, there were only 3 shots fired. There's no evidence of a 4th shot. It's acoustical evidence that was presented to the Congress back in 1978. It's complete garbage. Okay, it's some blur that was picked up on a radio, and they claim it proves a 4th shot. There's no evidence of 4th shot. We have evidence of 3 shots, and 3 shots only. And folks, the first shot missed. It hit the light post, hit a piece of concrete, flicked and hit this dude in the cheek. We have evidence that that shot was fired. We have people that heard it, people that started turning, looking towards the Texas Book Depository. Okay, the second shot, and by the way, the Warren Commission report got that wrong. They got the order of the shots wrong. They said the first shot hit. No, the first shot missed. The second shot, it hits both JFK. In that movie JFK, they present this magic bullet like they're both sitting and straight in a line. That's not how they were sitting. Okay, JFK is sitting here in the back of the limo on the big seat. Governor Connolly's on a small rumble seat, lower to the left. Folks, that's not a magic bullet. That's a straight line coming from the Texas Book Depository. It hits JFK in the upper back, comes out his throat. Who does it hit? It hits the guy sitting right in front of him on the rumble seat to the left. Governor Connolly, okay? The third shot, we have evidence of that. Guys, the Zapruder film proves 3 shots were fired. You go to frame 313. Google frame 313. It shows the moment that the third shot is ejecting out the front of JFK's head. It hit him in the back of the head. We have small puncture wound, because that's what happens when a bullet hits you in the back of the head, creates a small puncture wound, and then it comes exploding out the front of your head. And frame 313 shows that. It shows all the blood, all the brain debris, a flap of your skull flies back, maybe, from the impact and the wind, of course. But all the blood, the brain matter, look at frame 313, it's coming out the front of his head. It's not going back and to the left. No, the bullet came out the front of his head. Where did that bullet go? It hit the windshield, hit the inside of the windshield, cracked it. It's found on the limo floor below the limo driver. We have evidence of that third and final shot, plenty of it. And we know the trajectory from the x-rays, from frame 313, from the fact that the bullet fragment is found on the limo floor right below where the windshield is. That's a trajectory coming from the Texas Book Depository into his head, out there, into the windshield, okay? JFK's like sitting like this. He's looking kind of towards his wife at the moment of the third shot. That's a straight line out the front of his head. All that brain and debris matter is called the jet effect. It ejects out the front of your head. It pushes it back and to the right. Okay? Why? Because all that brain matter and debris, it's matter, and it pushes your head back. I'm an engineer. Okay? I'm not some university professor. I look at the facts. I look at ballistics. I understand physics, unlike a lot of these, like Cecil Weck. Okay? Folks, even Rush Limbaugh agrees with me. He stated on a radio show back in 2015, Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. It was this assassination which, in a way, started the loony leftist movement we have today. Okay? You look at it, Mark Lane defending this communist. Mark Lane later goes on to defend Jim Jones, San Francisco loony-ass politician who supported Harvey Milk. Mayor Moscone really is the modern San Francisco Democrat Party today, destroying our country. You got the likes of Kamala, Pelosi coming out of there, Dianne Feinstein, rest her soul in hell, whatever, or peace, whatever. All these leftist loonies, San Francisco. I mean, if you really want to look at the conspiracy, folks, it's the people that push these leftist conspiracies to hide the fact that a lone communist killed our president. And that's what these files are going to reveal. They're going to reveal that Lee Harvey Oswald did, in fact, kill our president, and that we were probably spying on Castro and the Soviet Union to ensure they had no part of directing Lee Harvey Oswald to do this. Because Lee Harvey Oswald, he lived in the Soviet Union for 2 years. He admired Fidel Castro. He was like Oliver Stone, just loved Fidel Castro, handing out Fair Play for Cuba literature just south of here in New Orleans. And he was a communist fanatic, and we needed to ensure the fact that Castro or the Soviet Union didn't put him up to it. And the evidence that we do have, from witness testimony, people that were near Castro at the moment of all proves that they had no involvement, okay? They were just as surprised as everyone else, okay? I think Lee Harvey Oswald, how could he not have done this murder? The guy's a communist fanatic. He's an expert Marine marksman. He's a sniper. He's trained how to shoot someone from behind. He's got a job in the Texas Book Depository. The motorcade's coming in front. He's in the right place at the right time, and he had plenty of motivation. People said, "Oh, Oswald didn't have any motive." He had plenty of motive. He's a communist. He hates our country. He's an attention seeker. What greater way to get back at your country than to kill the president? And then ultimately, his goal was to escape the communist Cuba and become Fidel Castro's right-hand man. I think he had grand delusion of himself. Now, I don't think Castro would have allowed him to do that, but that's what the thinking of this guy was, okay? And all the evidence, without getting into it, proves Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. 11 witnesses saw him kill, like, Officer Tippit or run from the scene. He also tried to kill General Edwin Walker in April of that year earlier. The ballistics from that bullet matched the rifle, with his palm print, by the way, that was used to kill JFK. He had the rifle. He bought the pistol that killed Officer Tippit. And, I could go on and on about all the evidence, and I will debate anyone. Anyone that brings up, well, you can't do this, you can't, that couldn't, it did. All the evidence proves it. And if you really sit down and you research this subject, you look at the facts, you're not swayed. Because I was like you people at one time. I believed there was some conspiracy. I was like, I want to know who killed JFK. I saw that Oliver Stone movie, and I was duped like an idiot, like the rest of you idiots. I was like, maybe there was some conspiracy that killed JFK. Guys, when I went to the library, because back then we didn't have internet, and I did the research, and I looked at the facts, you can only come to one conclusion if you seriously look at this crime. And that conclusion is that Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. He did it by himself. There's plenty of witness testimony that proves he did it. He had the gun. He's in the right place at the right time. Plenty of evidence, folks. And I just wish that people on the right would quit pushing the leftist conspiracy theories, okay? Yeah, and you know who you are. Joe Rogan, I know I'm just some idiot in Louisiana, but Joe Rogan, Pat with Valuetainment, come on, guys. Quit pushing this garbage. You're hurting your credibility. A lot of people find these shows, these podcasts credible. They're great. I love them. But guys, when you're talking about JFK conspiracies, you guys sound like leftist loonies. Okay, so let's focus on the facts. And the Congresswoman, you don't need to push your loony agenda that there was some second shooter. Okay, because I promise you, lady, when you look at the facts, you're not going to find any evidence of a second shooter. There's one shooter. He was a communist. He's up in the Texas Book Depository. All right. Thank you.